Smokey! Smokey! Take a puff. Take it.
You might say.
Ice Cube was gonna put up the money himself.
Right.
But New Line Cinema talked him out of it.
They said, look, ain't no sense you losing $2 million. If the movie bomb, we just take the hit. The movie grow $300 million.
Did you know that there was a disturbing scene that took Friday movie off air for good? One moment, the audience laughed along with the characters. The next, they were shocked by a scene that crossed a line.
Craig.
Bye, Felicia.
From the jokes aimed at female characters, sparking laughs for some, outrage for many.
Oh, Rita?
Yeah.
Rita is not fat, she's just big bone.
To a character whose cruel bullying of women hit too close to home.
You hit my sister like she was a man.
Shit, I'm busy going through my pants while I was asleep.
Then came toxic masculinity, raw and unfiltered, igniting fiery debates everywhere.
You got knocked the out, man. Give me my goddamn money.
With heavy drug use and gang violence featured, many viewers felt the movie glorified a harsh reality. One particularly disturbing scene was so intense that it led to the film being pulled from certain airwaves entirely. Once you see it, you'll never watch Friday the same way again.
I'll steal from my mama before I mess with your and you know this, man.
So the film Friday became a cultural landmark, but making it wasn't easy. Behind its laid-back humor and neighborhood charm were some serious struggles, mainly around money and creative vision.
That company claims to understand the business that I'm in, but they continue to ignore, dismiss, or actually sell away the projects that I'm a part of.
The biggest hurdle for Friday was the budget. With only about $3.5 million to work with, the filmmakers had to stretch every dollar. That meant no fancy sets or expensive effects. Most of the movie was shot on location in a real neighborhood in South Central Los Angeles. They had to film quickly and use minimal takes. Director F. Gary Gray, who was making his feature film debut, worked hard to make the movie look as real as possible, despite the financial constraints. They couldn't afford big names or fancy equipment. Even the script was partly improvised because they didn't have time or money to rewrite scenes during filming. But the money wasn't the only challenge. There were also creative disagreements between director F. Gary Gray and Ice Cube, who co-wrote the movie and played the main character, Craig. Gray wanted the film to feel raw and honest, almost like a documentary about a day in the life of two guys on their front porch. Ice Cube, however, wanted to make sure the comedy hit hard and spoke to a wide audience. They had to find a balance between humor and realism, and it wasn't always easy. According to Variety, Ice Cube admitted that some early arguments were about how characters should be portrayed. Should they be funny or serious, real or exaggerated? Ice Cube's role in Friday was more than just acting. He was the heart of the project. He wanted to tell a story that reflected the real South Central Los Angeles. Not just the violence often shown in media, but also the everyday moments, the friendships, and the laughs. He created Craig Jones as a regular guy, someone who had lost his job, dealt with neighborhood drama, and just tried to get through the day. Ice Cube based much of it on his own experiences growing up. Still, Ice Cube faced pressure from producers and the studio. They wanted to make Craig more commercial, maybe even more stereotypical to attract a broader audience. But Ice Cube pushed back. He didn't want to sell out or misrepresent his community. He fought to keep Craig's character authentic, and that decision helped make Friday a classic. People saw themselves in the characters, and that connection is part of why the film still matters today.
Smokey! Smokey!
When the film Friday was being developed, the role of Debo, the menacing neighborhood bully, was key to bringing the story's tension and humor to life.
What changed?
Yeah, what changed?
Interestingly, Tiny Zeus Lister, who eventually played Debo, was not the original choice for the role. He was brought in after someone on the production team recommended him, seeing that his size and past wrestling experience could make him a believable tough guy. And that he was. Standing over 6 feet tall with a powerful frame, Lister looked like someone you didn't want to mess with.
Now hurry up.
However, his physical presence, while perfect for the character, caused some discomfort on set. According to Complex, Lister took the role very seriously. Coming from a wrestling background, he sometimes carried that intense energy off camera. Some cast members reportedly felt uneasy when he got too into character, especially during scenes where Debo had to intimidate others. This led to tension behind the scenes. Some actors found it hard to relax around him, feeling like he didn't know when to turn the Debo persona off. While Lister wasn't trying to scare anyone on purpose, his serious approach to acting caused friction among the cast and crew. Another source of tension during the making of Friday came from Nia Long's role.
Smokey, I am not trying to look at that girl's all right?
She was cast as Debo's girlfriend, a small part with limited screen time. At the time, Nia Long was already making a name for herself in Hollywood and wanted her character to have more depth and visibility. According to Entertainment Weekly, she voiced her concerns to the producers. She felt that her role didn't reflect the strength or presence that Black women could bring to the screen. Unfortunately, her requests were not fully addressed. As a result, Long was left feeling sidelined during filming. While her character was supposed to have a close relationship with one of the film's most important characters, her presence was downplayed in the final version.
I'm sorry. Debo doing over here?
Now, filming a movie on location can add a strong sense of realism, but it also comes with major challenges. Director F. Gary Gray didn't have to go far to find the right setting. He filmed it in the neighborhood where he grew up. His own childhood home was even used in one of the scenes. This personal touch gave the movie a genuine feel, but working in a real neighborhood like South Central brought real-world problems. One of the biggest concerns was safety. The area had a strong gang presence, especially from the Crips, who wore blue. To avoid any trouble, the crew was told not to wear red. As a result, many characters in the film wore blue. Smokey wears a blue shirt and hat, and Debo has a blue plaid shirt. Even smaller characters like Megan Goods wore blue. This was a smart move to keep everyone safe on set.
Huh? Don't you see we handling grown folks' business?
But safety wasn't the only challenge. Some local residents were not happy about the movie being filmed in their neighborhood. They were worried it would show the area in a bad light. In one scene, Smokey is seen smoking angel dust, and two men sitting on a wall in the background refused to move. They weren't hired as extras. They were just there and wouldn't leave, even after being offered money. The filmmakers had no choice but to film around them. There were also disagreements between the film crew and some community members. The crew had to be respectful, work quickly, and try to keep the peace. Night scenes were especially tricky, as many crew members were nervous about being out after dark. Despite all these issues, the movie was shot in just 20 days. That's a short time, especially given the conditions. And for fans who pay close attention, Ice Cube's outfit in the beginning and end of the movie is a tribute to his character Doughboy from Boys in the Hood. The movie became a surprise hit when it came out in 1995. It ended up earning over $300 million over time through theaters, DVDs, and streaming. Even though Ice Cube was one of the creators and stars, he didn't earn nearly as much as he could have. Back then, he was still new in the movie business and didn't have the power to demand big money or full control. Looking back, it's clear that Friday became way bigger than anyone expected, and Ice Cube missed out on a big payday. One of the most loved parts of the movie was Chris Tucker's character, Smokey.
Get off me, man! Get off me, man! Get off me, man!
His high-energy jokes and wild expressions made people laugh out loud. Fans couldn't get enough of him. But when it came time to make the next Friday movie, Chris Tucker was already a rising star. He had just finished movies like Money Talks and had started working with Jackie Chan on the Rush Hour films.
He making big with Jackie Chan with that Rush Hour, making 20 million. So I wouldn't go back to Friday either.
In Rush Hour, Tucker was getting paid $20 million per movie. That's a huge jump from what he made on Friday, which was less than $10,000. But money wasn't the only reason Chris Tucker didn't come back. He had changed. He got more religious and didn't feel comfortable playing a character who smoked weed all the time. That kind of lifestyle no longer matched his beliefs. People in his life, like pastors, told him not to take roles that went against his faith. So, he decided not to return as Smokey. John Witherspoon, who played Ice Cube's dad in the movie, joked, "If I was making $20 million with Jackie Chan, I wouldn't go back to Friday either."
He making big with Jackie Chan with that Rush Hour, making 20 million. So I wouldn't go back to Friday either.
Fans still love the original Friday, and many think the sequels didn't have the same magic. John Witherspoon said that the first movie felt real because they made up a lot of the jokes right there on set. That gave it a raw and funny style. There was hope for a fourth movie called Last Friday, and fans wanted Chris Tucker to return. But Witherspoon wasn't sure it would happen. He said everyone's older now and the budget would be much higher since the actors are now successful. Ice Cube has tried to make the fourth movie, but there's a big problem. Warner Bros. Owns the rights to the Friday movies. Ice Cube says they're blocking him from moving forward. On Mike Tyson's podcast, he said, "They messed it up. They don't know what they're doing." He believes Warner Bros. Should give him the rights back since it's his creation. When asked if he'd buy the rights, Ice Cube replied, "No way. Why should I pay for something I made?"
Take my projects to other places who are willing to do the movies and, understands my brand. We've had a great time at places like Universal.
For now, the fans have to wait. Ice Cube hopes Warner Bros. Will do the right thing and let him finish what he started.
They finally came to their senses. So hopefully we can get in the process of getting that movie made.
Also over the years, it has also sparked controversy, particularly for its use of racial and stereotypical humor. Some viewers argue that the film reinforces negative depictions of black people even as it tries to humanize and add depth to the community. So, was Friday harmful or helpful in its portrayal of black culture? To understand the film's humor, it's important to consider the context in which Friday was made. Ice Cube, the film's co-writer and star, had grown frustrated with how black neighborhoods were shown in movies like Boys in the Hood.
He can't fight, so he always trying to find some excuse to shoot somebody.
And Menace to Society.
Hey, when the video say, give me the video.
Those films, while powerful, often focused on violence and hopelessness. Ice Cube wanted to show that there was more to life in the hood: laughter, friendship, family, and everyday struggles. Friday was his response, a slice-of-life comedy full of vivid characters that many people could recognize from real life. But some critics argued that the humor in Friday leaned too hard into stereotypes. Craig's father, played by John Witherspoon,
Smelled your 22 years. Now you can't smell mine for 5 minutes.
Was a loud, over-the-top character who talked about the bathroom in graphic detail and constantly yelled at his son. The neighbor, Mrs. Parker, was portrayed as a older woman who flirted with the mailman. Smokey, played by Chris Tucker, was a fast-talking pothead who spent the day trying to avoid trouble. While these characters were funny to many, others felt they reinforced long-standing negative images: the lazy black man, the angry black father, the promiscuous black woman. The laid-back, unemployed hero was based on a real cousin who had been fired from his job at UPS. That level of realism was part of the point. Many scenes in the film were drawn from Ice Cube's life growing up in South Central, and he wanted to reflect what he saw around him. Smokey's character was based on DJ Pooh's brief experience selling weed. In that way, Friday was deeply personal and grounded in real experiences, not just made-up jokes. The controversy is complicated because while some saw stereotypes, others saw truth. Many fans found the humor to be authentic and deeply relatable. The characters, even when exaggerated, reminded them of people in their own lives. And in a Hollywood landscape where black stories were often written by white screenwriters, Friday was different. It was a black story told by black creators for a black audience. The film also avoided the typical Hollywood structure. Most of it is spent watching Craig and Smokey hang out on the porch, talking, joking, and trying to avoid trouble. The plot is loose and relaxed, more about atmosphere than action, until the final act adds some tension. This format allowed the film to feel more real and less like a traditional comedy. At the same time, some of the jokes have not aged well. There is clear misogyny in the way women are treated, especially in how they're talked about and depicted. Smokey's disgust when meeting a woman who is overweight and wears a wig, and the cruel jokes that follow, are uncomfortable to watch now. These moments lessen the film's warmth and hurt its efforts to be more than just another comedy. Throughout the film, characters casually smoke marijuana, and the story takes place in a neighborhood where gangs are part of the backdrop. Some viewers praise the film for presenting a realistic image of urban life.
Take a puff. Take it.
They believe that Friday didn't sugarcoat life in South Central. It simply showed things as they were. According to a Complex article, many fans felt that the film captured a side of black life often overlooked or misunderstood by mainstream Hollywood. In this view, the film was honest and even refreshing. However, not everyone saw it that way. These critics worried that young viewers would see this behavior as cool or funny, rather than dangerous or irresponsible. The presence of gangs in the film also raised eyebrows. While not central to the plot, the threat of gang activity hangs in the air, which some interpreted as a lazy stereotype about black communities.
All you do is smoke weed.
Another point of controversy surrounds the character Smokey. Not everyone appreciated Smokey's antics. Some older viewers and critics felt his behavior was too over the top and that it took away from the more serious parts of the movie. They worried that his exaggerated mannerisms could be seen as making fun of black culture, turning real issues into jokes. For them, Smokey wasn't just comic relief. He was a distraction, a character who sometimes made light of serious topics like use and violence.
Now hurry up.
Debo is a neighborhood bully who uses fear and violence to get what he wants. One of the most criticized scenes in the film shows him stealing a woman's purse and using intimidation to keep people in line. While some viewers saw Debo as a cartoonish villain, almost like a character from an old western, others thought his actions were troubling. In particular, critics were concerned about how the film handled Debo's violence toward women. There was little attention paid to the impact of his behavior. Instead, it was often treated as part of the film's humor. This led some to argue that Friday was trivializing and sending the wrong message about relationships and respect. Fans who saw Debo as just a funny bad guy missed the deeper issue, that his actions represented a form of toxic masculinity that shouldn't be laughed off. Another major issue is how women, especially characters like Mrs. Parker, are throughout the films.
Hi, boy.
We gonna let me Miss Parker?
Mrs. Parker, played by Anna Maria Horsford, is known for her revealing outfits and suggestive behavior, especially in the first Friday movie. She's often shown flirting and being involved in situations, sometimes in a comedic way. While some viewers found her character funny and entertaining, others thought the innuendos were overdone and unnecessary. Critics argued that Mrs. Parker was turned into a joke, reducing her to just her looks and rather than giving her any real depth. This kind of portrayal can feel like it objectifies women and treats them more like props than people. The debate grew louder as more people started examining older films through a modern lens. According to Entertainment Weekly, some fans felt the character added humor to the neighborhood dynamic, while others said it distracted from the film's deeper messages about poverty, friendship, and survival. The overuse of jokes made it hard for some viewers to take the female characters seriously. Another big issue is the overall lack of strong female representation in the Friday series. While characters like Debbie appear and offer a breath of fresh air, they're often given little to do beyond supporting the male leads. These women are usually portrayed as love interests, jealous girlfriends, or background characters. The Guardian pointed out that this pattern reinforces the idea that women's roles in these stories are secondary and not as important as the men's. On top of that, Next Friday brought new concerns when it introduced Latino characters who were heavily stereotyped. Some fans laughed at the over-the-top accents and behaviors, but others, especially in the Latino community, felt disrespected. They said the film leaned too much on jokes that made fun of their culture. As Vulture noted, the movie risked turning an entire group of people into a punchline. Despite its flaws, Friday has had a lasting cultural impact. It launched Chris Tucker's career, gave Ice Cube a new identity as an actor and filmmaker, and became a defining film for a generation. It showed that a movie about Black life didn't have to be tragic or violent. It could be funny, sweet, and real. While the humor was not perfect, and some jokes relied on tired stereotypes, the film's heart was in its characters and their humanity. And their fans have been eagerly awaiting the fourth installment, Last Friday, for years now. The buzz around the film started back in 2017 when John Witherspoon, who played Pops in the series, announced that the movie was officially greenlit. This news got fans excited, but, as often happens in Hollywood, things didn't move as quickly as expected. In 2017, DJ Pooh, a key player behind the film, confirmed that he and Ice Cube were working on Last Friday. By 2018, Ice Cube shared that they were still in the script writing phase. He emphasized that they wanted to ensure the movie would feel fresh and not rushed. Ice Cube hoped to start filming by the end of that year, and Mike Epps, who plays Day Day, posted teaser images with Ice Cube, leading fans to believe the film was in full production. However, by 2019, while Ice Cube confirmed that the script was finished, fans were disappointed when the movie didn't arrive for the 25th anniversary of the original Friday film. Cube explained that he and DJ Pooh were still refining the script to make it perfect. Then, tragedy struck in October 2019 when John Witherspoon passed away. His death left many wondering how his character, Pops, would be handled in the new film. Ice Cube was vocal about his frustration, blaming New Line Cinema for not fully committing to the project while Witherspoon was still alive. As of now, fans remain hopeful that Last Friday will still happen, despite the setbacks. The excitement is undeniable, but only time will tell if the long-awaited film will finally hit the screen.